So here, if this is what we discussed previously. We said consideration in setting price. Here we've got this consumer perception of value. This is ceiling. This is price floor, which is product cost. And then in between, we've got those. What strategies you have and what is the nature of the market. Okay. Now, what is target costing? Target costing starts with an ideal selling price based on consumer value considerations and then targets cost that will ensure that the price is met. Let's take this example. What do you guys think if we want to make a new machine? This machine, we will put it on your tables here. And basically your tables will have like a smart board where you can actually, you put your hand, it will open, and then you can actually write on it, and it will save to your workplace. What do you think?
Great.
That's great. How much are you willing to pay for this? Let's say you sign up at the school and you have to pay fixed amount of money, and then you can have a username and access to this machine system. Basically, instead of you bring your books every day with you, you keep your notes, you lose them. No, this is like a computer system. On each table, all the tables will have this board. You write your name, your password, or you put your fingerprint, and then you will be able to, access your account. What do you think? So you get this 1,000. If we say how much you said, $500. You multiply by the number of students, and you see how much is the total, and then you divide by how many you're going to set up. Now, if you want to do this target costing, you need to start to decide for this money, what are the features we can do for these boards, right? So can we make it colored or black and white? How big is the screen?
Giving reasons for paying $500.
Yes. So that's when you start from your cost in order to reach to, you start from what price you want to charge until you reach to how much is included, what is the cost of the product you want to sell. So target pricing, it's going to start with an ideal selling price based on customer value considerations, and then target costs that will ensure that the price is met. Are you guys okay? Great. All right. So other considerations here, we want to look at the organizational consideration. Who should set the prices and who can influence the prices? So inside your company, who decides on the prices? Is it always the manager? Or is it the marketing people? Or is it finance people? Or is it maybe operations manager? You see? So we've got a lot of different people that can influence. Maybe a mixed. Well, it's important to note that sometimes pricing can be very complex and sophisticated. Let's say, for example, how much do you charge a price of a travel ticket from Dubai to Frankfurt? How much is a good price for that ticket? If you start to think about it, what airlines do is that they have a department called the pricing department. And the pricing department's job is to start to do a big number of calculations and data gathering and competition watching and customer value and what costs are associated with. Because if you do Dubai to Frankfurt, you compete, let's say, Emirates Airlines, take you Dubai, Frankfurt. Doha, Qatari Airlines can take you Dubai, Doha, Frankfurt. You can go through Cairo, you can go through Riyadh, you can go through Istanbul, you can go through Rome. You see, so if your airline, you need to look at what everyone is doing, the competition, the time of the year, time of the day. Do people travel business in the morning and they come back at night? Families, they take vacations, in the summer and they need to have kids with them. You see? So there's a lot of issues that can influence prices, And sometimes it can be an important challenge for the organization, how we set up prices.
Who influence it?
Influence it, maybe the market, maybe finance people will say, hey, look, total costs are increasing, or cost of fund are increasing. Maybe we've got, operations. They say the operations are increasing, the cost of food on the airline is increasing. So who are the people? Can be many. Market and demand. You guys know before you set the price, marketers must understand the relationship between price and demand. Do you guys remember supply and demand, equilibrium? That becomes an important topic for marketing people as well. So whatever you take in your economics, they become part of the pricing chapter here. Remember when we talked about a pure competition? That's when the price is set by the market. No one has the power to increase or lower price. Remember the example was, let's say, fruits. They're pure competition. Everyone makes fruits. Everyone sells fruits. Supply and demand will determine the price. And then we talked about the pure monopoly. Remember pure monopoly? When we talked about Yemen Net. They're the only people who sell net. Then they become a monopoly and they set the prices. Maybe a pure monopoly, those companies that make cancer medication. They're the only people that can sell cancer medication. So they're a monopoly. They can charge any price. People just have to pay it. And then we've got oligopolistic competition. Remember oligopoly?
It's two firms.
When you have two or three or few firms, like a cartel, like the oil cartel, where oil countries, they get together and they agree how much they produce. Therefore, they set the price. Maybe another example is like when you have two or three GSM companies or mobile companies, they sit together and they agree, let's charge, 10 cents per SMS. Then they set, it's a competition, but they sit and they agreed on 10 cents. So they are almost acting like a monopoly, but they're not one, they're few, so we call that oligopoly.
Is it legal?
Sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's not legal, depending
I don't know
on.
which class there is.
They tell you they are illegal.
There is a law in the US
That prevent
that
oligopoly.
they get connected.
Okay.
All good.
There are some laws that will prevent, depending on what
Technically, when they
industry.
get connected, there is no competition, right?
Well, if they agree together and they agree, there's no common competition. Sometimes they say, hey, let's agree not to compete on these, and we compete on those. There's also the idea of cheating. Remember game theory? The idea of game theory where, people start to cheat. If I know you will fix it on 10, then I know if I sell at 9, customers will come to me. So I start to cheat. This becomes part of the phenomena of oligopoly. And then there's a monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition is where most of marketing happens. In monopolistic competition, we see everyone try to monopolize, even though they are really competing. For example, if you want to get an iPhone, where'd you buy it?
I guess.
Only from Apple. Does that mean Apple is a monopoly? Because they're the only people who sell Apple iPhone? They're monopolistic competition, but they're a competition. Because, you can get another phone, which is a complete substitute. Get a Samsung and you will work, or get a Sony and it will work the same, right? So here, some companies, they try to monopolize with their brand so that people think that they're the only people that sell this particular product. Demand curve. You guys remember the demand curve?
Yes.
It shows you the number of units that the market will buy at a given period. Remember higher prices meaning lower quantity demanded.
Love demand.
Remember prestigious goods that people... Remember when we talked about perfumes?
Lastest.
If perfume is 200 riyal or 100 riyal or 50 riyal, do you buy it?
No.
No, you
Of
don't.
course not.
If it's $100, do you buy it? Maybe you consider it. Okay.
It depends
Do you
on
think
the-
it's great?
Yeah.
Let's see. Here we've got the idea of elastic and inelastic. Do you guys remember those curves from your economics class?
Yes.
See, this is what we call elastic. Elastic means it responds. Anything elastic, it will respond. Something inelastic, it means it doesn't respond. If you push it, it doesn't respond. But if it's elastic, you push it, it will be pushed. The same thing here with prices. So if you push prices up, let's say we took example of an inelastic, let's say the idea of coffee. If prices of coffee, if we increase a little bit, people will not immediately stop coffee in the morning and drink something else because people are addicted to it. But when we talk about elastic products, you mean if prices pushed up, people may switch. So if fish become very expensive, people will stop eating fish, will go to meat. If meat becomes expensive, people will move to chicken. If chicken are expensive, people will move to something else. And then these are elasticity. You guys remember how to calculate elasticity?
Changing quantity.
Change in quantity over change in price. You take that in your managerial mathematics. And this is the last slide of this chapter. In this slide, we're looking at other internal, external consideration affecting price decisions. The economic condition. So overall in Yemen, economic condition under siege, then maybe prices will go up for some products. Maybe also some other products, they go down. Remember how much is mango? Do you remember when mango was 1 kilo for 100 riyal? Anyone attended this time period last year during war? It was amazing. 100 riyal for 1 kilo of mango. It wasn't like first grade mango, but it was like 100 riyal. Why? Because a lot of mango they couldn't export because of the siege. So mangoes, there's a lot of mangoes here. And people, if they don't buy mangoes, the price of mangoes will go down. Sometimes there is a reseller response to price. If prices maybe change, resellers may also have an input to the price. Sometimes resellers will capture the profit. If you sell it cheap, they may increase it so they make the profit. Sometimes also government regulations. Do you know what's a government regulation? Like government subsidize. Government says this is maximum price. Government says this is minimum price. Government says you can't charge more than that. And then there is a social concern. Do you guys remember those people with cancer? They need medication. If the cancer company, the cancer medication or pharmaceutical company that sells cancer medication decide to act like a monopoly and charge that price, they may not be, a lot of people will be affected. So maybe it is a social concern. Or maybe, we want to prevent people from smoking. So they put a very big high tax to increase the price, so to prevent such social audit. So that's the end of this chapter.
Resellers